Hello and welcome to another review from Class 47 Peter, and in today's review we're here to have a look at a Bachmann model. As you can see, no prizes for guessing that. And in today's review we're here to have a look at a new release, which this particular model hasn't been out for very long. It was released around towards of the end of March, beginning of April, and it is the Stanier Mogul 260. Well, this particular model I have has only just been released. The other two were released before it. And this is a model that I've been very much looking forward to ever since it was announced back in 2012. And then at Wally last year, I got to see the models on display up close and in person, and I was even more excited about getting one. This particular one, however, is special, because it's not just any Stanier Mogul. This particular model is a model of 42968, which is the sole preserved Stanier Mogul that is preserved on the Severn Valley Railway. Now, there are a few reasons why I have bought this particular model. Firstly, the Severn Valley Railway is one of my heritage railways to visit, the other being the Great Central Railway. So it made sense in a way to get a model of a loco that's preserved on the Severn Valley. But also, I have ridden behind the real 42968 on a number of occasions. In fact, there are plenty of videos of that on my channel, which you will come across if you flick through my videos on my channel. You will find them. And I have seen 42968 a lot of times as well in real life. So it made sense to get 42968, because if I was going to get any of the Stanier Moguls, it had to be 42968. I did, however, at one point consider the LMS Black livery, but then I thought, no, I'm going to get 42968, because I'd rather have a model of 42968, to be honest, rather than a Mogul in LMS Black. And to be fair, I do have quite a few LMS Black livery locos already. In terms of LMS locos, there are only a few LMS locos I have that are not in LMS Black or LMS Maroon livery. So that's why I went for a different livery. Right, enough of the talking, let's get on with the unboxing. So first of all, we just slide the box cover off. And there's the box sleeve, or cover. Brief history of the Stanier Mogul on the back. We can pause and read that if you want to, I won't stop you. It's Bachmann's usual standard packaging that we get now, which is the plastic packaging that I'm not really a fan of. But anyway, so there's the model in the plastic casing. Just look at that, that already looks stunning. And we haven't even opened it up yet. So now we just remove the plastic casing from the tray of the box. Quite nice and snug in there. And then we come on to the instruction sheet. But something that I've been doing lately is they've been providing us with these instruction manuals that also include the guarantee and the collectible flyer. So they've done away with those separate sheets of paper. It is made out of glossy paper, but you know, I'm fine with that, because this is brilliant that Bachmann are now giving us all this paperwork in a manual. So first of all, we have, it just says welcome to the manufacturer and all that. The detail parts you get with the model. They do say that can use PVA based glue to stick these on, but I'm not going to use PVA. I'm going to use the good old polycement. It also tells you what you get in terms of the detail parts and where you need to put them. Back you've got the collectible flyer, the warranty and guarantee as well. Fits on the brake rods and the coal rail for the tender, and the fire irons that you also get with this model. Then it tells you about lubricating the model. As you can see there by the diagrams where it needs to go. There's quite a lot of places to lubricate the model as well, actually. Then, lubrication again. Like I said, there's a lot of places to lubricate it. Then fitting a DCC decoder, which goes in the tender, obviously. and fitting DCC sound as well. So it also tells you how to remove the tender body as well, which is quite handy. Then it talks about spare parts and the pod warranty, and again more of the Bachmann Collector's Club and the guarantee and all that, so it's the same stuff we've seen before. But well done Bachmann for giving us these manuals. Personally I think they're better than all those sheets of paper, but anyway, so there's the model in the plastic casing. She looks absolutely stunning. But we slide off the cover for the box, as you can see there. So taking that to one side, we can now look at the detail parts. Detail parts come in a sealed bag as always, but they are sellotaped onto the box, so we just pull them off. And we can now look at all the detail parts that we get with this model, before we go any further with the video. So in this bag full of detail parts, we get some cab doors, the brake rods to fit under the loco and the tender, the fire irons, which include a couple of shovels and a few poking irons, etc. The coal rail to fit on top of the tender. Footsteps to go on the front of the loco. This piece of plastic, which is to fit the DCC sound speaker in. And a couple of screws, which are for the DCC sound speaker. We also get a couple of drain cocks for the cylinders. Then you get this little bit of detail, which if you don't want to have the front coupling already installed on the model, you can remove it and add this little bit of detail. And you can also slot the screw link coupling into it as well, actually. Quite clever. We get a brake pipe and a vacuum pipe for the front of the loco. We get a couple of these side windows that go on the sides of the cab. And a couple of presumably spare pieces of glazing for the windows. We also have some screw link couplings as well, one for the loco, the other for the tender. We get this piece of detail, which I have no idea what it is, but I think it might be some sort of lubricator of some sort. And then we get this, which is to fit onto the one side of the loco, that fits under the running plate, and it is a little rod of some sort. Detail parts have now been cut, now back on with the review, so just undo the box clip and open up the flap of the box, and then we gently lift the model out. But because the loco is connected to the tender, you must lift them both out together at the same time. So we gently lift the model out of the box, and then we just put that to one side, and now we can look at the model in detail. But firstly, let's talk about the weight of the model, which is always important to mention in these reviews because this model is very heavy. So I do believe there are some bits in there made of metal and others made of plastic, as well as some weight inside the model, and the weight of the mechanism, the chassis, adds to that as well, because that has a fair bit of weight in it. But the weight is very, very important because it provides the traction. So this model can pull trains. Without the weight, it wouldn't be able to pull anything. Moving on to the detail now. Now, first of all, we'll talk about the buffers, which are not sprung. However, I have not much care for the sprung buffers, as I've said before. I find them a bit pointless because you're only going to mess about with the sprung buffers when you're holding the model. You're never going to touch them when you're running the model. And to be honest with you, I only ever mess about with the sprung buffers when I'm doing these reviews anyway, just to show that the buffers are sprung, so, you know, they don't really add much purpose, to be honest. But these buffers are made of metal, so that is nice. And I like the fact that the buffers are not sprung. Moving on to the buffer beam, there are no rivets on it, but that's accurate for the Stanier Mogul because I don't have rivets on the buffer beams. But we do get a little hole to fit the chain link coupling into, as you can see. As for the brake pipes, they don't need any holes in the buffer beam because you actually slot them in under the buffer beam. They have a piece of plastic attached to them that just slots in underneath the buffer beam, and that's actually quite clever, how it loops around under it. I'd like to see that being done on other models actually. At the front we have a slim tension lock coupling which is now, so you can remove it and replace it with something else if you want, or just remove it altogether. It's up to you. And of course I have the guard irons in front of the pony truck as well at the front. Moving on to the running board now, we have some separately fitted lamp irons, which always makes a great bit of detail because it makes the model look more realistic. And we have a small separately fitted handrail there just behind this one lamp iron. There's also a slot in the running board as well actually, and I'm not too sure what that's there for, so I'm sure someone will comment in the comments box below and tell me. We've also got loads of rivets on the running board, and also we've got the neck holders as well, which is what these are called, and these are these parts that fit under the smoke box, and they're at the front of the running board on either side, in the middle there. And what's nice is that we have this crisply printed builder's plate on the one neck holder, as you can see here, which says LMS Crew, built 1936, which is when the loco was built and where it was built. And that's always a nice little bit of detail to have. Moving on to the smoke box door now, in which we have a small separately fitted metal handrail and a separately fitted lamp iron. We have the number plate on the front with the loco's running number 42968. We have a shed plate which says 5A, and this is the shed code for Crew North. And of course we have the separately fitted smoke box door darts, and of course the smoke box door hinges. We also have some rivets underneath the smoke box door as well. We have a very nice chimney, which you could add a smoke generator unit in there if you wanted, but I'm not going to bother because this is not my thing, but it's there for you to do it. We have quite a lot of rivets on the smoke box, as you can see, and again that's always a great bit of detail to have, these rivets, because it makes the model more realistic and more like the real thing. We've also got the outer steam pipes there, and there is some nice rivet detail on those as well. There's some great bit of detail on the cylinders. There are some rivets there, which you can just about see, as well as some nice lining as well, which is crisply printed on and it looks superb. Moving on to the valve gear and the link motion and the side rods, it's all connected up how it should be, very much like the real Stanier Mogul, and I can't wait to see all that moving, because that's going to be a joy to see. Then we also have the sanding gears as well, by the drive wheels. I should point out these details can be fragile, and they're made of metal, so do be careful with them. Now I still don't know for granted what these parts of the wheels are called, but as you can see there is some rivet detail on them. There is some rivet detail on the wheels as well, on the front drive wheels as well, but I've only shown these two wheels for the record. I still don't know what these parts are called of the wheel, but there is some rivets on them, like there is on the real locomotive, and it's just stunning to see that. You can also just about see a couple of springs there, just behind the front pony wheel. We've also got loads more rivets on the sides of the running board as well. Again, great bit of detail to have, as always. We can't leave out the separately fitted metal handrail running alongside the locomotive's boiler. And underneath that we have the pipework as well. We have some beautiful lining on the boiler bands, just look at that. That looks stunning. I just love the red on it and the thin black line in the middle of them. And we've also got a nice dome in the middle of the boiler with the pipework running down both sides of it, and that looks really, really nice. We've also got the turn metal safety valves and whistle fitted as well, which looks stunning. We've also got glazing in the front cab windows as well, as we'd expect. And on the front of the cab as well, we've got loads of rivets, as you can see. Back to the running board, which have this little air tank of some sort, separately fitted, and nice bit of detail to have. We've also got the reversing lever as well, which is made of metal, and again, nice detail to have. We've also got the washout plugs on the side of the firebox as well. Moving on to the cab sides now, we've got loads of rivets. We've also got glazing in two of the cab windows either side, as it is on the real Stanier Mogul. And the Loco's running number 42968 crisply printed in the middle there. And again, just look at that superb lining. Again, crisply printed on the cab sides. And I love how you can see some of the rivets on it as well, on the lining. And we've got a small 5 printed on the above the running number, and that's the perfect classification for the Loco. We've also got some separately fitted handrails down the ends of the cab there, as you can see. We also have the footplate for the Loco that's made of metal, and what I love is that it actually folds down and upwards, which is a nice little feature to have. So I love how it can fold down or fold up, depending how you wish to have it, and that's really nice to see that on the models. Moving on to the cab roof, which we have a cab roof vent that doesn't open, but it doesn't have to open, or it doesn't need to either. And again, more rivets on the cab roof. We've also got the cab steps as well, either side of the cab. Now we come on to the detail inside the cab interior, and just look at that, that just looks absolutely stunning. The dials, the gauges, those turning wheels, the pipework, the regulator, the levers, they're all painted. And what I love as well is that inside the roof, in the cab, it's actually painted white, and that is a superb detail to have. It's just fantastic, and it makes the model look more like the real thing, and it brings the model to life as well. Moving on to the livery application now, the shade of black is correct, and it's a very nice even coat of paint as well. And the lining on the model, it just looks stunning. It really highlights the livery. And in particular, just look at the lining on the running paint there. Very nice and fine, and it looks stunning. Then we spin the model around, which on this side of the model there are some detail differences that you don't get on the other side that are worth a mention in this video. Just in front of this cab step, for instance, we do have some pipework running down alongside of the cab, just under the footplate there, but we have that curious bit of triangular detail. You know which detail part it is I'm talking about, but I've got no idea what it is, but it's there. And it does look quite nice. We've also got these washout plugs as well, just under the boiler. You get them on this side, you don't get them on the other side, and that's true to the real locomotive. That's how it is in reality. We've also got these lubricator mechanisms as well. Very nice detail to have. Then we have this air tank and some box detail in front of the cab there. No idea what that box detail is there for, but it looks nice. And speaking with that box detail, you've got some pipework attached to it, which is very nice. Right, with the Loco now covered, now we move on to the tender, which this is the Fowler tender, and it is packed with rivets. Just look at all those rivets. Just like the real thing and the real tender. Loads of rivets on it, and that's what I love to see. On the front and the side of the tender, we have a separately fitted metal handrail, and at the side of that we have a smaller metal handrail fitted there as well, as you can see. And at the back of the tender, we have another separately fitted metal handrail. Again, the livery application is superb on the tender, nice even coat of paint, and again, accurate shade of black, and crisp lining on the tender as well. And we also have the BI Lake crest, crisply printed on both sides of the tender, and just look at the detail on that, that looks stunning. We've also got the steps for the tender as well, and there are a couple of rivets on them as well actually. On the tender frames there are a couple of rivets on them. We've got the axle boxes and the springs as well as the holes cut into them, which we do get in reality on the real tender. And on the faceplate of the tender we have a couple of handles there which transfer the water from the tender to the boiler. We have the small chute there for the fireman to swing his shovel into and transfer the coal from the tender to the firebox, as well as plenty of storage cabinets as well. Then we have the tender buffer beam with rivets on them, and we've also got tender buffers as well. On the top of the tender we've got some rivets. We've also got some curious bits of detail just at the end of the tender sticking up there. Don't know what they're for, but they're there. We've also got the water filler cap that doesn't open, but it doesn't have to. And then, just at the front of the tender, just behind where that dome is, we've got two bits of detail that I'm not sure what they're for, but they're there, just like on the real tender and on the real locomotive. And so they look nice, because I know particularly with the 4F, they get you to glue them in. In this case, they don't. So that's nice. Now we do have a coal load in the tender, but whether it's removable I don't know, and I'm not going to attempt to, especially because we have that bit of detail on top of it that's pretty much stopping me from removing the coal load. But you can scatter your own coal load over the coal load already in the tender, and that's something I have actually done. So all is not lost really. But that's not a criticism for this model, that's something I'm just pointing out. At the back of the tender we've got lots of detail on there. We've got the non-riveted buffer beam with a hole for the screw link coupling to go into. We've got a brake pipe on the tender, as you can see there. We've got a NEM coupling on the tender, as it is with the front of the Loco, and it is slim tension as well. We've got the metal buffers that are not sprung as well. There are loads of rivets on the back of the tender and some separately fitted lamp irons as well. Then we've got these bits of detail either end of the tender, and they act as steps for the crew to climb up on top of the tender. We've also got a crisply printed builder's plate there on top of the tender, and we've also got this little plate that tells you that this tender is a 3,500 gallon one. Again crisply printed as well. And on the other side of the tender it's pretty much the same detail as it is on the other side, so there's no difference here. Now we come on to the running performance for the Stanier Mogul, which, as you can see, the model runs smoothly around the layout, and this is how we expect these new models to run straight out of the box. No motors burning out, jerking movement or anything. It should run nice and smooth as it is shown here, because the running of the model is really important. So it's not just all the detail that's important on the models, it's the running quality of them as well. Now we come on to the test run for the Stanier Mogul, which it is seen here pulling the rake of maroon coaches around the layout. There's 7 coaches here, and this shows why the weight is important on these models. So overall, the Bachmann Stanier Mogul is an amazing model, and it is Bachmann's best steam locomotive that they've produced yet. Go out and get yourselves one, because you will not be disappointed. I cannot pick a fault with this model, it is that stunning. So overall, I rate the Bachmann Stanier Mogul a 10 out of 10. This has been Class 47 Peter, reviewing the Bachmann Stanier Mogul 42968, and I'll see you again soon for the next review. But until then, take care.